guys, this is Angela from Panda Kisses. Today I am going to show you how to make the Scissors Keeper bag, and I'm going to add a monogram on here, so I thought I would show you how. This is the 5x7 size. I brought it into my software. I use Brilliance Essentials. And so I have it in here. It comes in sideways this direction. I'm going to turn it while I add my monogram just so I can place it correctly. So I'm going to show you how you can turn your design. I'm just going to click on my design, and then I'm going to go up here and use these arrows. So I'm just going to go like that just so I can see it. Now I'm going to add my sister's monogram. So this A right here lets you add words, letters. So I have it up, and then this is the font I'm actually going to use, but I want to show you, go to this letters right here, and this brings up where you write your text. So I'm going to highlight right there, and my sister's initials are N, K, and S. So I got NKS in there, and then I'm going to hit set right here, and it's going to change it, NKS. Okay, now, your font may look different. It doesn't matter what it looks like in the beginning. How you change your font is right here. It says fonts, and there's a little pull down. So you go like this. Now in Brilliance Essentials software, you will have certain fonts to begin with just by buying the software, but you will see that mine's going to look a lot different than yours because I've added a bunch of fonts in here. It's kind of nice if you, when you're buying your fonts, if you buy a font that has the BX ending on it, then you are able to bring that font into the software just by double clicking it. It will automatically load into the software, and that allows you to just type the letters here in the text and it brings it in. If you do not have a BX font, then you have to go into your directory and you have to add each letter individually, and then you'll have to move them to put them where you want them, which is not as easy. So I like BX fonts because you can load them and just type them in. Okay, so I'm going to use, so you can see I have lots of fonts in here. You can just scroll down. I'm going to use this monogram font right here, and I think I'm going to use the 2-inch one. Okay, so I select this. This is BK Scallop circle font. This is from Baby K's. So if you go look up Baby K's, and you can find this font. I'm going to go ahead and move it. So there's different ways to move in here. You can see all these different squares. I can just click on it and move it like this, and the whole thing moves, and that's probably like right about there where I want it. But you also can move, if you want to move just this S closer, you don't like the distance between the letters, you can grab just this green square and it will move the letters individually. So say I want it closer, and click off of it, and then I'm going to go get this green one and I'll move it a little closer. All right, so there you go. So you can move them individually, you can move them as a group, and then this little circle here lets you turn it from side to side. I'm not going to do it because I want to keep mine straight, but I'm just going to go ahead and center that a little bit like where I want it, and that's where I want it. So now we have it added. Now you have to have it below this red line. This line's not really going to matter, but you need to have it below this red line because it's going to stitch over that. Well, actually, technically, yeah, it's going to stitch over that because that's where the zipper placement is. So I'm going to actually even put it down a little bit just so it's not even on that line. But you can make it bigger and have it up above that line. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back the other way. And then I'm going to like select both of them that way. And then I'm going to turn it again with this. Like that, and then you can see that it's ready to go. So now that I've added this, I'm going to save this design. So I'm going to go up to here. It's going to do File, Save Stitch File As, and then I'm just going to name it NKS. and hit enter. It's going to go to my desktop, and then I'm going to bring it over to my machine and we will start stitching. I'm going to show you how to do this. Okay guys, here we are. We're over at my machine. I have my design loaded that we just did over on the Embrilliant software. So I'm going to go ahead and start stitching. Our first step is to go ahead and do that placement stitch up there. That's just going to show us where our zipper goes and where our top and bottom fabric go and how big to make them. So I went ahead and threaded my machine. This is my 5x7 hoop, and this is tearaway stabilizer. So I'm going to stitch my placement directly onto my stabilizer. I will come back and show you what that placement stitch looks like. Okay, there's that placement stitch. So now we're going to put our zipper on. This shows you where to put the zipper. You can see it's right here. These 3 lines show you where to place your zipper. So go ahead. I'm going to place my zipper this way. If you want your pull to open the other direction, just flip your zipper like this. I want it to go this way, so I'm going to place it this way. So you really just need to line it up between these 2 lines. And then just make sure this is past, your zipper pull is past, and make sure that this is there. And you can just center it. You could tape both sides. You can hold it. I hold mine. I just make sure it's equal distance in the middle, and I hold it. And I do the next step, which is step 2, and it's just going to do these 2 lines to tack down the zipper onto the stabilizer. So I'm going to go ahead and run that, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, this is what it looks like. We have our zipper tacked down on here. This is the front of the hoop, the back of the hoop. Okay, so what I do is, there's a lot of people having issues with the measurements of their fabric. I just measure it myself. You guys can go off of what people say or whatever, but I kind of like a little extra. I don't like barely any. I don't like stressing if it's gonna work or not, but you guys can do what you want. So what I do is, once you have this placement here, you can measure your own fabric. I put my ruler up to the edge of my zipper line, and I measure the farthest part down here. So if you put it like right here, I measure all the way to here, and I give myself a little bit of room. And then I double this. So I take this measurement and I double it, and then I figure out what the length is. And I do the same for the top. I go ahead and put my ruler here, and I measure from the zipper all the way there, and I double that as well. So my outside front of my bag fabric, I double. So I've already done this. I'm going to show you. I went ahead and took my fabric measurement and I doubled it. I fold it in half and I get a clean edge. So you need a clean edge right here. So if you're using woven fabric, it frays at the bottom, or at the edges, so you need a clean edge. I do a full double, especially on this scissors bag, because you're going to be putting scissors in there, so you need a little more thickness and stability. So I double it. You don't have to. If you don't want to waste extra fabric, you just need a clean edge. So you could take it and just fold it like this and iron right there and use that as your clean edge. I fully double mine though, and then I also use this lightweight interfacing. This is lightweight fusible interfacing. Trying to think if I could show you. It's made by Pellon, and I just get it at Joann's. But I use this as well. And what you do is, I'm gonna show you. Let me get a scissors and cut a little bit. I already did it, so I can just show you quickly. So once I have my half, I open it up. I measure and just do this 1/2 portion of it. And when you have this, the way you use this is one side has like a friction side. It's like little glue balls. The other side is soft. You take the friction side on the wrong side of your fabric. I do the whole side. And then you just iron it on like this, and it just goes on, and you can see I already have it on here. It just makes your fabric thicker is what it does. So that's how you add it in. So I go ahead and double. This is my front bottom. I doubled. I ironed on the fusible lightweight interfacing, and then I have this piece ready to go. Then I do the exact same thing for the top. So I measured, I doubled my fabric. I went ahead and ironed half of the fusible interfacing on this side, and I'm ready to go up here as well. Now the other piece that you need on this bag is you need the back fabric. So the way I do that is I measure the whole thing. Oops. Measure the longest part for the whole thing. Get a piece that's that big. I don't double this back because you don't need a clean edge, but I go ahead and I do add the fusible interfacing. So I'm going to get a piece of interfacing and I'm going to put it all the way across here, not just half because we don't fold it, and I'm going to iron it on. And then that will be the back of your bag. So those are your pieces for the front of and back of your bag. Now you also need the exact same sizes for the liner. I don't put the interfacing on the liner, but you need the 3 pieces as well. So here's the liner for the inside back. Here's the liner for the inside top. And here's the liner for the inside bottom. So I do the doubling, but I just don't put the interfacing on the liner. You can, it's just gonna make it more bulky, which might be nice for these scissors keepers, but I don't on mine. Okay, so that's how you prep all of your fabric. Now I'm gonna go ahead and meet you over back at the machine and we'll start stitching this. Okay, we're back on our machine, and so we have the zipper down. Our next stitch step is to go ahead and stitch our bottom front fabric. So I have this all prepped already. I just showed you how to prep your fabric. I go ahead and I put this fabric, all the way next to my zipper, like right next to the zipper teeth right here, to make sure that it catches. Now if you want to see more of your zipper, you just got to make sure that you have your fabric above this line, because this is where it's going to stitch on this line, and you want to make sure your fabric gets caught in there, otherwise you're going to have to start over or pull it out. So you can place it anywhere you want between that stitch line and the zipper teeth. Now I'm going to go ahead and run the next step, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, there you go. That's what it looks like. It tacked it down. Now we're going to do the same thing on the top. Make sure to watch your fabric if you have directional fabric. Mine's kind of directional fabric, but not really. It could go either way. So place your fabric where you want it. Again, it's going to stitch around these same lines right here. So make sure your fabric's over your placement lines where you want it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stitch step 4. It's just going to tack down that top, and I'll come back and show you. Okay, that's tacked down as well. You can see the top's tacked down. Now this is where we need to jump steps because we added a design to this. If you didn't add a design, then you would just go ahead and start the liner. But we want to add any design that you add, you want to add before you put the liner on, because the purpose of the liner is to hide whatever the stitches are that you put on here and to give it another cute color. But so I'm going to show you how to change your steps on your machine. We also could have changed where it sat in the design on embrilliance, but I don't tend to do that because I don't like to mess with the middle of the designs, because you can end up deleting steps that you need for your bag, and it just ends up being a little more confusing, I think. I think it's easier not to mess with the design steps and easier just to skip steps on your machine, and that's why I do it here. So I have this machine. I'm going to close this because I'm already in there. So if your machine probably looks like this, to get control of the steps of your machine, you're going to go ahead and press this needle with the plus and minus. You should have the same symbol no matter what machine you have. Okay, so then it's going to bring up this. And if you notice, you have a lot of needles that have negatives, numbers, and positive numbers. Now these negatives and pluses jump that many stitches within a step. So this is within a step. It will go back 10 stitches or forward 10 stitches. This is important. I use this all the time. If your thread breaks or anything like that, you need to rethread. I always jump back some stitches. I don't just start where my thread broke, because it's going to leave like a little issue in there, like a little gap or whatever. So I always jump back some stitches. So I usually use this step back 10 a couple times, and you'll know your machine and where you need to put it when it breaks thread and stuff. But anyways, this lets you jump stitches within a step. Now these spools right here that have the plus and the minus, this lets you jump entire steps within your design. So you can see we are on step 5 up here, 5 of 9 steps. This is the liner. We are going to come back to step 5 to do the liner, but I want to go get to this detail, this name that we added. So I'm going to go ahead and jump the steps. So I'm going to press this plus spool. Now I'm on step 6, which is the top liner. And then I'm going to do 7, which is the back of the bag. And then I'm going to do 8, which is the very last step, which is the back liner. So now I'm on 9. This is our design right here. This is our pretty thing that we added, our element. So we're going to stitch this next. So all I did is go to step 9. I'm going to go ahead and change my thread because I want it to be a different color. And I'm going to stitch it now. And then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Sorry, I'm going to add a couple things. This monogram that I added, it's the scallop monogram, and it's really thick and dense. So when I have a design that's super dense, if this wasn't dense, I would just go ahead and stitch it now. But because this is really dense and thick stitching, I'm going to add more stabilizer on the back of my hoop. So I took my hoop off. I'm just going to show you. I took my hoop off. I'm flipping it over. We're on the back. I'm just taking some more stabilizer and I'm just going to tape it right there where the design's going to go, just to give it to some more stability. So sorry, I'm just going to take some tape. If you don't have a dense design, then this is completely not necessary. I'm just doing it because I'm worried that it's going to be really super dense and I want it to have proper stabilization. Okay. The other thing I can do, if your fabric's not super expensive fabric, a lot of times the needle makes little needle marks on the side and pulls away from your fabric. The other thing that can help that is putting water stabilizer over here, and I'll show you that. Let me go. Oops. I have the links for this too. This is water soluble stabilizer. If you haven't used it before, it's basically just like a plastic that goes over the top. Most people use it for thick fabric. I use it a lot on the marine thick, not glitter, but just the regular marine vinyl because the needle tends to chew it up a little bit. The other reason to use it is for like furry fabric. So if you're doing like bunny bags and stuff and you're really using really thick fur, then you're always going to want to use this on top, because what this does is it basically holds the stitches more above the fabric versus sinking into whatever you're using. And this fabric is not thick and does not need it for that reason. But if I put this on, it might not chew up the fabric as much, because, you know, I don't know if you've done a dense design on some of this woven fabric. It ends up looking like it's kind of, you can see the holes. So this might help a little bit just because it holds the stitches above it versus being all sunk into it. So I'm going to put a little bit of that as well. And then I'm just going to put it right here and hold it. And then I'm going to go ahead and stitch the step. Hopefully that helps. Okay guys, this is what it looks like. It went ahead and stitched it. At this point you can take off the extra stabilizer. This is just to go on there. I can get the other part later, but just to get it out of the way. The other thing you can do so it's not harder to do later is to take, this is going to be inside the bag, the rest of the stabilizer, but I'm going to take this extra stabilizer off as well. Doop, doop. Okay, now it is time to do our liner. So I'm going to flip the bag over. This is your front, this is your back. You're going to flip your bag over. Now we already prepped our liner fabric. I just have it folded in half. So you need to put this on the zipper, where the zipper teeth line is. And the way to figure that out is it's always this middle line. So you just go 1, 2 in the middle, 1, 2 in the middle. So it's this line right here. I'm going to draw on it so you can see it really well. That line right there is where you need to put your fabric up next to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This bottom one stitches first. So I'm going to put it right up next to that line. And then I'm just going to go ahead and tape it. I'm just using Scotch tape here. Make sure it is all over. Just making sure I'm over all my lines. Okay, now I'm going to go to the machine and I'm going to show you how to get back to this step. So I'll see you over at the machine. Okay, I'm back at my machine. My hoop is on. Once I put that fabric on, I always kind of look underneath to make sure that it didn't get folded, even though I taped it. just because you don't want it to fold over, because then you'd have to pull it out and redo it. I changed my thread to the color of the bag that I wanted, and then my machine thinks that it's done. It finished the design because that was the last design, or the last piece of it, because we went to the end. So I'm at the beginning of the bag again. So you just have to have control of the machine. If you lost control of your machine, remember you press this needle with the plus minus. I'm going to jump steps, so I'm going to be jumping forward on steps. So this is the first step of the bag. That was the placement stitch, 0 of 9. That was putting the zipper down. That was the first front. That was the top front. This, step 5, remember I was talking about step 5? This is the liner of your bag. So this is what we need to stitch first. So go to step 5 and then go ahead and run it. I'm going to run it. It's just going to go over this line that it's already gone over, but it's going to basically attach this liner to your bag. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, here's the back of your bag. Again, here's the front. Here's the back. Here's my liner. So it went ahead and stitched my liner on. You can see you have this nice clean edge next to this line. Okay, now we're going to do the next step, which is to put the top part of your liner on. So we have that measured and ready. You're just going to place it on the other side of that dotted line where I wrote, and you're going to tape it down, and then we'll go run the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and tape that down, and then I'm going to go put it on my machine, and I'm going to go ahead and run step 6, and it's just going to attach this piece of the liner. Okay guys, here's the front of your bag right now. Show you. Underneath, there's the back of your bag. Both are attached, the top and the bottom. This is your liner. Okay, now, once you have this liner on, it is time to put the back of your bag on, this part of your bag, and that goes on the front of your hoop. It's going to go like this, and it's going to seal this in. So you have to open your zipper now. If you don't open your zipper, you can't turn your bag. So you got to open your zipper. I open my zipper as far as I can over to the side, the stitch lines over here, but you need to leave enough room for the foot of your machine to go over this right here. If it hits this, it will mess up your whole design. So you need to make sure you have enough room that your foot can clear here, but you want it open far enough that you can flip through this hole. If you only opened it to here, you're going to have a hard time flipping through that hole. So make sure it's open far enough, but not too far. Okay, so this is where you put stuff onto your bag. So this is where people put like handles, fold over elastic, whatever. So this is, I'm going to do fold over elastic. This is fold over elastic. It's just pretty elastic. This is just a shimmery one that I have. I actually have the link to all these. If you go to show more, they this shimmer set, all these, so I'm going to show you, this is all shimmery, and it came in a bunch of colors. I actually have this linked in the comments if you go see more after the video. Down there, I have all the links there. If you look in there, they're really pretty. And when you look at it on Amazon, they're all folded nicely and pretty. Just so you know, it comes like this. It has like a tie right here. Let me show you. It didn't come all pretty, but it doesn't matter. It wasn't that big. See, they tie it in a knot, and you got all these colors. So that's how it came. It didn't come all pretty, but it is really pretty fold over elastic. So anyways, I'm going to use the silver of that right here. And I just get a little piece. You don't need a piece. And then I'm going to use this D-ring swivel lobster clasp. I put some links in there. It's not this exact one. I bought this one off of eBay. If you want this exact one, message me and I can find the eBay link. The difference is this one doesn't have the little pull right there. A lot of them have a pull. This one just pushes. So hopefully you can see that. But anyways, I linked some different ones on there. And this is the smaller one. There's like a 1-inch one that's longer. And then there's this one that's smaller. I like the smaller one better. But anyways, you put it like this, because I'm going to want this to just dangle right here so she can hook it onto a bag. This is for my sister. But the way that you put it on your bag is you put it on the inside. So I want it right here. You could put it anywhere along the stitch line. I'm going to put it right here. You want it on the inside because everything on the outside of this stitch line is going to get cut off. So anything you want to keep in your bag needs to go on the inside. So I got that tape down. It's just going to sit there. If you want anything else, this is where you do it right now. The zipper's open. Whatever I want's placed on my bag. Now you take your back fabric, right sides go together. So this is the right side of your fabric. This is the right side of my fabric. It goes on top of each other like this. Just make sure you're past all the stitch lines. That's all you need to make sure of. And then we're going to go ahead and go stitch the next step. And it's going to go all the way around these lines several times. It's sealing the bag completely right here. You are going to flip through the inside of the bag later. So make sure your zipper's open. I will see you at the machine. Okay guys, there it is. It went ahead and stitched all the way around. So now your front of your bag is completely enclosed right here. So now we're going to put the last piece. This is our last stitch step. We're going to put the back liner on. So we have this other piece of fabric. We do this on the back of the hoop, so the underneath of the hoop. So you flip your hoop over. You can see here's your liners right here. Now you're going to do right sides together. This is right side, this is right side. Make sure to watch your pattern if you have a directional pattern. I do not, but make sure to watch that. And you just need to make sure you place it completely over all these stitch lines. So I'm going to place it like that. Okay, and I'm going to take Scotch tape or whatever tape you have, and I'm going to just tape it down really good. Just so it stays and doesn't move on you. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and stitch our last step, which is step 8, and it's basically going to stitch around that whole line, but it's going to leave a hole. Now, let me look. I was going to tell you one more thing. Hold on. I think it's down here. Nope, that's... Let me look at it real quick. Yeah, this is the bottom right here. Okay, so... one thing to keep in mind, it's going to leave a hole down here. It's going to stitch all the way around this design, but it's going to leave a hole right here. And we're going to flip through that hole first. So make sure you have enough fabric down here that you have some extra, because when we flip our bag, I'm going to glue it. I'm going to show you how to glue the hole shut. And I need a little excess fabric right here. You don't want it right up to that edge. This is the other reason I don't follow... just the generic measurements. I just measure it myself because I like extra fabric down here. So when I close the hole, I probably use more than you need. I'm not super frugal with my stuff, but you don't want your fabric right up to that stitch line, because then you have no excess fabric. When you flip it, you have no fabric to like glue to each other. So the hole's gonna be down here, so make sure you have extra fabric down here. I'm gonna go ahead and stitch that last step, and I'll come back and show you how to complete it. Okay guys, we are ready to complete this bag. Let me show you. This is your front of your hoop, what it should look like. This is the back of the hoop, what it should look like. You can see that there's a hole right here. It didn't stitch all the way through, so you have a hole. So go ahead and take it off your hoop now, because we are done stitching. I have all this tape. I really don't like tape, but okay, I take my stabilizer off now just because I do. So I'm going to pull this stabilizer and tape off. And I have a lot of excess fabric that I'll be cutting. Okay, there's the stabilizer. Alright, so I am going to cut around this. Now where you want to watch... You want to watch this hole down here. Like I said, you want to keep, there's a hole right here. You want to keep some of this fabric right here. So I'm going to like just cut some, because I have like way too much fabric. I use more fabric. I'm not very precise. So, okay, so I have some of it off. Now I'm going to go ahead, when I cut these, I always cut around this hole first to make sure I don't forget about it. So I cut at an angle right here to where the stitch starts right there, and then I just go this direction. Let me see if I can get it. And I'm cutting next to the stitches now. This is how you would cut around. I'm just cutting all the excess off. And now remember, this is why I said you want to place all those things you want to keep inside your bag, because we're cutting all the way around our bag and you would cut it off. It wouldn't be facing the right direction either. So I'm cutting all this off. You want some pretty hefty scissors because you're cutting through the excess zipper. You're cutting through that layer of fold over elastic. You have 6 layers of fabric here, not counting the stabilizing mesh. So just make sure you have good scissors. I'm gonna go down here. Now I'm coming to that other stitch line right there, so I stop right there. I don't cut across because I want some excess fabric. I cut this way, and then I cut it a little closer because we don't need this much. Okay, now the other thing I do, all you really need is the liner on this excess. So here's the first piece, here's your hole, here's your first piece, and there's your second piece. You need these 2 pieces to close the hole. All this other stuff is just bulk, you don't need it. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that off without cutting my other 2 pieces of fabric. So I just fold these 2 over that I want to keep, and I just cut this bulk off. And I just kind of get it out of the way, and then you can cut it a little closer if you want. Don't cut your stitch lines, but just get it out of the way. Okay, so now you just have these 2 pieces, okay? So I'm gonna move all this. Now there's different ways to close this hole. We're gonna flip through this hole. The reason you need this hole is because you want it lined with none of the seams showing. So the only way to do that is to have this hole. You're gonna flip through this hole, and then I'm gonna show you how I close it. There's other ways to close it, but just be kind of careful when you're flipping this because it tends to want to tear right here, because this is just woven fabric and it tends to want to tear. So just go slowly. You're not in any rush. I just start pushing it through the hole. And it's not too bad with woven fabric. You can also do this with vinyl. I would suggest for this particular bag, I would suggest very pliable vinyl like canvas, or even thinner than that. There's some other ones that are like thin, only because it's going to be hard. It's not so hard to push through this hole. The part that's going to be hard is this tip where your scissors goes is super narrow, so it's going to be hard to push out your corners because it's kind of tiny right there. But it can be done. I know it can. Okay, so I'm not going to get it perfect because we are going to be flipping it again through. Here's your zipper hole. This is why you need your zipper open, because you're going to flip again through this. But we need to close this hole first. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just getting it kind of flipped so I can close this hole. Okay, so there we go. There's our first flipping. Now this is your hole. It looks like this now. See all that stuff's on the inside? Now this is why I leave extra fabric, because I kind of sandwich it and I fold it in on itself. Like this. I fold this side in, and I'm following these stitch lines right here to get it the exact shape it should be. And then I fold this in as well, the other side. And then I find where they should meet up nicely. And I take these Wonder Clips, which I have these linked as well if you're looking for these. I just clip them so I have it all set where everything needs to be. Now the other thing to keep in mind, this is the inside of your bag at the bottom. So this part's not really going to show very much. You won't even notice it. Okay. So if you're a person that likes to sew it, you can sew it. You can do ladder stitching if you like to hand sew. I use fabric glue. So this is the glue I use. It's called Fabric Tack, And it's clear glue, it's for fabric, it's permanent, it's super fast, it's not clumpy, it doesn't stay all hard and clumpy. So this is what I use, and it dries in like 3 to 5 minutes. It's really quick. So I use this, and this is linked as well in my See More. So I'm gonna go, I took one off, I'm just gonna go ahead and start gluing. And it doesn't even need a lot of glue. I put a little bit of glue, and I go ahead and make sure it's where I want it. And then if you have excess glue, like I put too much or something, I just take my finger and wipe it. Again, this is clear glue, so it's not that big of a deal. And then I put this clip back on, and then I go to the next section, and I do a little bit more glue. And I go ahead and sandwich it, wipe any excess, put the clip back on, and I just do it all the way down until it's closed. Last one. Okay, now I'm going to let that dry. That's what it looks like right now. I'm going to let that dry for like 3 minutes, and I will come back and show you what we do next. Okay guys, it's been about 3 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and take these off, and I will show you what it looks like. It just looks like that. Looks like nothing. It's closed, completely sealed. It's great. Works wonderful. So now we're going to open this zipper. And you have stabilizer on here, so you can start removing the stabilizer. It's between your liner and your zipper. Just clean it up a little bit. Now you should have a stitch in here too. There's a string, this string right here. This is your placement stitch for your zipper. You just tear this off. It's pretty tight, but you just tear it off. It doesn't, you're not ruining your bag. Okay, let's get all this off. Sorry, I'm really bad at this part. It takes me forever. Okay. It's good enough. So this is what I was saying. This hole's as big as your opening that you did. I'm going to cut these 2 little stitches too. Just clean it up a little bit. Okay, now you're going to go ahead and flip again. Now this time you're going to want to flip all the way and make it all pretty, because now this is the front of your bag. So I'm just going to put my finger in here, and I just push out from the inside. Here's the little opening. All right. Now the other thing I do for my corners is I use this. This is a turning system. You could use a chopstick or whatever. Don't press too hard, because I've had this point go through my fabric on some of the fabrics I've done. Not fun. I usually try to use the blunt end, and I just try make the corners a little better, just pop out a little better. So let me get this, all these corners. Okay. Okay. Now I'll probably iron this too to make sure that it's all perfect, because it's kind of bunchy right now. The other thing is I still have some of that water stabilizer on the front right here in between the letters. I like to use these. These are called Seam Fix. It has like a little rubberized end right here, and it ends up being a seam ripper. Here's the tiny one, and then I also have a big one. This one's bigger, and this has a seam ripper as well. I use the end of this, since it's rubber, it's really good with water stabilizer. You see how it just pulls it up? That's just the plastic. Now water stabilizer, you can take water and put it on here and it dissolves, but I don't like to do that. I always just take it off with this. I always end up getting like a sticky residue. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I like to peel it off versus use water to dissolve it. Okay, so that is all done. Okay, So here we go. I'm going to show you this way. You have your little clasp with your fold over elastic on there. It's super cute. There's your monogram. You open it, completely lined. There's no seams in here. You don't see the stitches where the name is, the monogram is. Super cute. And then, oh, I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared. Hang on, let me go get my scissors that fit in here. Oh, they're right here. Hold on. Lots of scissors probably fit in here, but I love these scissors. I use these smaller scissors to cut details and stuff, but I want to show you. You open it and it fits in here perfect. You actually could put a lot in here. I'm sure some of these fit in here as well. These are the embroidery. Oops, the embroidery applique scissors fit in here. I have my cool little snips that I use all the time. Those can fit in there. And then just go doo, 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 doo. There we go. Can clip on my bag. I have 3 sets of scissors. You could also put like your seam rippers in here. I could do lots of stuff in here. Like, it fits quite a bit. This is the 5x7 size, the normal 5x7 size. So there you go. Super cute. I hope this helps everybody that was having issues on what goes where and what you do where. There you go. Hope you like it. And go to, under this video, there's a see more. I have some glue on my fingernail. There's a see more. If you go and hit see more, it has links for, just so you don't have to search for them if you're looking for stuff, but it has links for lots of stuff. I have, the clasps and fold over elastic and snap tabs and these and the different scissors I use. You can just go look through that whole list, and if there's anything that you are looking for or wanting, you can just click on the link so you don't have to search for them. Also, I'm an independent consultant for ColorStreet. I do cute nails. If you want to join that group, I have a Facebook group, and I send out free samples and do prizes and stuff every month. So if you want to join that, please do. Hope this video helps you, and if you need anything or any questions, just message me, and I would be happy to help you. Thank you.